In this class, we are going to learn how to find the derivative of a function using the first principle. We are asked to differentiate the following function with respect to x using the first principle. Okay, let's start with the first question. The first step is that you just set this function, you set to equals to a variable, you understand? Set this function, you can see that the function is not like something like y equals to x squared plus 2x. Now, in an attempt to differentiate this function using the first principle, the first step is that you have to set this function equals to y or any letter, you understand? In this case, I'm going to set this function equals to y. So I'm going to have, okay, solution. I'm going to have y equals to x squared plus 2x, okay? Now, you can use any value, okay? You might decide to use z, you might decide to use a, you understand? Just set y and set this function equals to a letter, okay? So now I'm using y. Are you getting it? Now, the next step is that you are going to increase x by delta x. And if you increase x by delta x, there will also be a corresponding increment in y by delta y, you understand? Because looking at this function, any changes that happens to x squared plus any changes that happens to x in x squared plus 2x will also happens to y, you understand, which is the left hand side of the equation. Okay, so here I'm going to have call this equation 1. You understand? Call this equation 1. Now, if you increase x by delta x, that means I'm going to have, there will also be an increment in y by delta y. So I'm going to have y plus delta y equals to x plus delta x raised to the power of 2 plus 2 into bracket x plus delta x. The meaning of that statement is that anywhere I see x, I'm going to replace it as x plus delta x. And anywhere I see y in equation 1, I'm going to replace it as y plus delta y, you understand? That is what I mean by let there be an increment in x by delta x. There will also be a corresponding increment in y by delta y. Do you understand? Okay, now we can proceed by expanding the right hand side of the equation. So I'm going to have y plus delta y equals to x squared plus 2x delta x plus delta x squared, okay? Plus, now, please kindly pay attention. You see, what I did here, look, if you expand x plus delta x squared, if you expand this, you are going to have x plus delta x, then x plus delta x, you understand? Now, x multiplied by x, that is what? X squared. X multiplied by delta x, that is what? Plus x delta x, you understand? Delta x multiplied by x, that is also plus x delta x, plus x delta x. Then delta x multiplied by delta x, that will give us positive delta x squared, okay? So that is how I arrived at this. If you add this together, you're going to have x squared plus 2x delta x, because if you have x delta x plus x delta x, that will be what? 2x delta x. Then here I'm going to have plus delta x squared. You can see that that's how I arrived at this, you understand? Okay, the process which I used to get this, when I expand this, that's what I showed you, okay? So now with that, let us proceed. Okay, so here for the second bracket, I'm going to have plus 2. 2 multiplied by x is what? 2x plus 2x plus 2 multiplied by plus delta x, that is what? Plus 2 delta x, you understand? Okay, now having expanded the bracket, the next step is that you have to make delta x the subject of the relation. How do you do that? All you have to do is that just take this y to the right hand side of the equation, okay? So I'm going to have delta y equals to x squared plus 2x delta x plus delta x squared plus 2x plus 2 delta x. Now minus y, because if this positive y crosses the equals to sign to the left hand, to the right hand side of the equation, the positive sign is going to change to negative sign. So that is why I'm having minus y, okay? So let us proceed. The next step is that you have to substitute the value of y. Don't forget that from equation 1, the value of y is what? Y equals to x squared plus 2x, you understand? Now, the next step is that you have to substitute the value of y into this, okay? So I'm going to have delta y equals to x squared plus 2x delta x plus delta x squared plus 2x plus 2 delta x minus, okay, what is the value of y? The value of y is x squared plus 2x. So I'm going to have minus x squared plus 2x, okay? So for this, I'm going to have delta y is equals to x squared plus 2x delta x plus delta x squared plus 2x plus 2 delta x. Now, if you use this negative 1, you will see there is an invisible 1 at the front of the bracket, okay? So if you use that negative 1 to open the bracket, you are going to have negative 1 times x squared, that is what? Negative x squared. Negative 1 times positive 2x, that is negative 2x, okay? So now, having done this, the next step is that you have to collect like terms. You can see that we are having positive x squared here, and we are having negative x squared in this place. That means that this positive x squared can be cancelled by this negative x squared. Okay, is there any term that can cancel another in this equation? Let us check. You can see we have positive 2x here. Now, this positive 2x can be cancelled by the negative 2x that we are having here. So this can cancel this as well. So we are left with what? Delta y equals to 2x delta x plus delta x squared plus 2 delta x. Okay? Now, I want you to pay attention. See, what you are looking for is dy dx. You understand? We are differentiating y with respect to x. Are you paying attention? Now, to get the from this step, the next step is to divide both sides by delta x. Okay? So this will be divided by delta x, this over delta x, this over delta x as well, and this over delta x. What I did here is that I'm dividing each term by delta x. So for this, I'm going to have delta y all over delta x is equals to 2x plus delta x, because I'm having delta x twice here, you understand? So 2x delta x plus 2, okay? The next step is that you have to limit delta x as delta x tends to 0, you understand? What I mean by that statement is that in your right hand side of the equation, you are going to replace delta x as 0, you understand? Just pay attention. Look, dy all over dx limits delta x as delta x tends to 0. That means I'm going to have delta y all over delta x is equals to, now anywhere I see delta x, I'm going to replace it at 0 in this equation. You can see I'm having 2x plus, now we have delta x here, so I'm going to have plus 0 plus 2, okay? So the derivative of y, the derivative of the function, okay, let me just write it here. The derivative of the function, that is dy all over dx, is equals to 2x plus 2, you can see. So that is the final answer to that question. And if you use the polynomial rule or the power rule to differentiate the function, you are still going to have 2x plus 2. Let us check. We are having y equals to x squared plus 2x. According to polynomial rule, if you differentiate y using a polynomial rule, if you have something like y equals to ax raised to the power of n, the derivative of y is equals to, this power will multiply the coefficient. So I'm going to have n a x raised to the power of n minus 1. So in this case, if I'm to differentiate this using the polynomial rule or the power rule, I'm going to have y equals to 2 times x raised to the power of 2 minus 1 plus 1 times 2 raised to the power 2x raised to the power of 1 minus 1, because there is an invisible 1 at the as the power of this x. So it is that one that multiplies these two. You understand? So here I'm going to have y equals to 2x plus 1. Plus 2, sorry. Plus 2, because x raised to the power of 1 minus 1 is 0, and x raised to the power of 0 is 1. You understand? So 2 times 1 will give us 2. You can see now. So if you use the power rule to check, maybe this derivative is correct. It is, because by the time you use it, you get this. Okay? So having done the first question, let us proceed to the second question. Question 2. We are asked to find the derivative of 1 over 2x plus 1 using the first principle. The first step is that let this function be equals to a letter. You understand? So let us use y. Y equals to 1 all over 2x plus 1. Okay, so that's the first step. Are you paying attention? Now the next step is that we are going to let there be an increment in x by delta x. There will also be a corresponding increment in y by delta y. You understand? The meaning of that statement is that we are going to increase x by delta x and we're going to increase y by delta y. You understand? That means anywhere I see x in equation 1, I'm going to replace it as x plus delta x. And anywhere I see y, I'm going to replace it as y plus delta y. Okay? So here I'm going to have y plus delta y is equals to 1 all over 2 into bracket x plus delta x plus 1. Okay? So having done this, please kindly pay attention. The next step is that you have to make delta y the subject of the relation. Okay? So I'm going to have delta y is equals to 1 all over 2 into bracket x plus delta x plus 1 minus y. Don't forget that from equation 1, y equals to 1 over 2x plus 1. So I'm going to have delta y is equals to 1 all over 2 into bracket x plus delta x plus 1 minus, open the bracket, 1 all over 2x plus 1. Okay? Now, please kindly pay attention. From this point, you can collect you can take the LCM, you understand? The LCM of this and this will be, okay, let's take the LCM. Here I'm going to have 2 into bracket x plus delta x plus 1 multiplied by 2x plus 1. Okay? Now, that is delta y. That is the LCM. The LCM is the product of this and this. Are you there? Now, this multiplied by this will give us a value. All this value divided by this. Please kindly pay attention. See, what I did here is that I took the LCM, you understand? The LCM of this and this is their product, you understand? Just like taking the LCM of 1 over 3 and LCM of 1 over 3 minus 1 over 2. The LCM was 3 times 2, you understand? So, back to the question. I take the LCM. The LCM is the product of this and this. So, I take their product. The meaning of this bracket is that they are multiplying each other, okay? So, now, here I'm going to use this to divide each of the denominator of the fraction, okay? So, this divided by this, I'm going to be left with what? 2x plus 1. 2x plus 1 multiplied by 1, that is what? 2x plus 1. 2x plus 1, okay? Now, minus, please kindly pay attention. Both the product of this divided by the numerator, which is 2x plus 1, I'm going to be left with what? 2 into bracket x plus x plus delta x plus 1. So, I'm going to put the minus sign in bracket 2 into bracket x plus delta x plus 1. Okay? Now, what we're going to do next is that we're going to open the bracket. Okay? We're going to open the bracket. And if you want to open the bracket, you have to be very careful of the signs. Okay? So let us proceed. Let us open the bracket for the numerator now. Are you paying attention? Now, let's deal with the numerator. So, I'm going to have delta y is equals to 2x plus 1 minus, use this negative sign to multiply through the bracket. We are going to have minus, okay, let's do it one by one. 2 times x, that is 2x. 2x. 2 times delta x, that is what? Positive 2 delta x. Okay. Plus 1. All over 2 into bracket x plus delta x plus 1, 2x plus 1, okay? Now, delta y is equals to, okay, I'm going to have 2x plus 1 minus, okay, let us use the negative sign to open the bracket. Negative times 2x, that is negative 2x, minus 2x, minus times plus 2 delta x, that is negative 2 delta x, minus times plus 1, that is what? Negative 1, all over, okay, just put the denominator, okay, x plus delta x, 1 2x plus 1, okay? So now from this point, we can simplify the numerator, okay? If you want to simplify the numerator, we're going to have delta y is equals to c. 2x minus 2x, that's what? 0. Plus 1 minus 1, that is what? 0. Now we are left with what? Negative 2 delta x. So I'm going to have negative 2 delta x all over negative 2 delta x all over 2x plus delta x plus 1, 2x plus 1. Okay? Now, the next step is that you have to multiply all through by delta x, you understand? Or divide both sides by delta x is still the same, okay? So I'm going to have delta y all over delta x is equals to negative 2 delta x all over 2 into bracket x plus delta x plus 1, 2x plus 1, just divide by delta x, you understand? This delta x will cancel this delta x, so we are left with what? Negative 2 as the numerator. So I'm going to have delta y all over delta x is equals to negative 2 all over 2x plus delta x. Okay, no, add the 1. Delta x plus 1, 2x plus 1, okay? Now, the next step is that we have to limit delta x as delta x approaches 0, you understand? We have to limit delta x as delta x tends to 0. So I'm going to have dy all over dx, limit delta x as delta x tends to 0. So I'm going to have delta y all over delta x is equals to, that means that anywhere I see delta x at the right hand side of the equation, I'm going to replace it as 0, okay? So let us proceed. Here I'm going to have negative 2 all over c. I'm going to have 2 into bracket x plus delta x. Now, anywhere I see delta x, I'm going to replace it as 0, okay? So I'm going to have x plus 0 plus 1, 2x plus 1, okay? Now, that means I'm going to have dy all over dx is equals to negative 2 all over. Now, let us simplify. X plus 0 is what? X. I'm going to have 2 multiplied by x is what? 2x, okay? So I'm going to have 2x plus 1, 2x plus 1 multiplied by 2x plus 1, okay? This 2x plus 1 is this, okay? And this, if you simplify this, look, kindly pay attention. If you simplify this, you're going to have 2 multiplied by x, that is 2x. 2 times 0 is what? 0. Now, 2x plus 1 is what? 2x plus 1. You understand? So, dy all over dx is equals to negative 2 all over 2x plus 1 squared. Okay? Do you understand? 2x plus 1 multiplied by 2x plus 1 can be written as 2x plus 1 squared. Okay? So, that is the derivative of the function. Okay? So, let us proceed to the third question. We are asked to find the derivative of 1 all over x. We are still going to proceed like we did the previous one, okay?